All right. So I went ahead and flipped over early. So, um, I watched a couple of videos from Trey's Trades
Yep.
today. I've been trying to get a couple more. Um, I don't know. I'm still on the fence about him. It seems like there's so many people that just flat out love the guy, and I don't know, man. Something. It's like my spidey senses feel like something's not right.
Yeah. I don't know. I watch him consistently. I think he's a pretty straight up guy. I haven't found any huge red flags yet. I mean, the guy definitely talks a lot. He's a fast talker. He definitely does a lot of videos. He shoots out a lot of information at you really fast. But he does give credit where credit's due, which is why I think he's a solid individual to take a look at. I mean, if you're going to follow him and do what he does or anything like that, then I mean, that's on you. I mean, as far as I look at it, do your own due diligence and move forward from there.
Yeah. I saw he posted a video a couple hours ago, and I haven't watched it about. I guess some people having 800 plus $1,000 losses on options.
hmm
So
Yeah, there's a big thing where a bunch of people came out and said they're blaming him. I believe the story behind it was um, for like up to $1 million in losses or something like that, potentially from his suggestions on AMC. Um, I mean, once again, I mean, he's pretty clear. I've never watched one video of him telling someone this is what you should do right now if you want to make money. He's always like, this is what I'm doing. Um, do it if you want to do it. Don't do it because I did it. I mean, so if people lost a lot of money, then I would say that's definitely a potential. I mean, I've played three options myself, and I have two that expire on May 7th that I followed directly from him, and I have yet to have one win on any of it. However, on the flip side, we were talking the other day. If I'd played that Mavis MVIS option when it was
microvision.
$9, yes,
Yeah.
Microvision, I would have been cashing in thousands of dollars Friday. So, I mean, there's definitely something to be said. It's just a matter of, I think, it's a gamble. We've talked about it before. Playing an option um, is no different than going to your local casino and pulling the lever. You're making the gamble that it's going to go up or down, whichever way you're playing, call or put, and the other end of it is all on you. How it kind of plays out. If it's something that anyone's ever considering doing that and playing those, the derivatives, basically what options are, then you had best be watching that screen when you're off. Don't be at work. Don't be hanging out. Don't forget about it because you'll want to get out when you can to make money. And obviously, you don't want to be the bag holder at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting that Congress has not had a lot more involvement around all of the options and calls and puts, and it's interesting. It's almost like that goes unchecked, but they're pretty adamant about getting regulations on cryptocurrency.
Oh yeah, well, absolutely. Cryptocurrency is something that's not inside of their grasp currently. They're working on it, I'm sure, as fast and furious as possible. Where on the other end, you have a lot of information out there about the company, not really a company, but the government clearinghouse, the DTS, which is basically the people who move everything for stocks. When you buy a stock, they make sure it's fulfilled. There's a place that puts a certificate out and so on like that. And there's a lot of them that are directly affiliated with hedge funds like Citadel or any of those type guys who are also involved in doing the transactions for you whenever you process a stock purchase. And the problem with that is that they no longer have to produce an actual certificate. There's nothing, no written ledger, there's no transfer like that. So you could almost say, ever since basically the crash that everyone kind of refers back to in the 80s on the stock market, where everything went digital from 2003 forward, um, they can pretty much play unlimited naked short sales and pay minimal fines and make millions of dollars. So it's kind of a one-sided group. And where you're talking about crypto, my personal opinion on that is that's coming soon. Either the government will figure out a way to manipulate that to ensure the 1% keeps their money, or I imagine they'll do a pretty good solid attempt at shutting it down. That's my personal opinion on that. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor.
Well, I don't think their goal is to shut it down. I think that it's all about the tax dollars, and I think that's why they don't get involved with the dynamics of really all the fraudulent stuff that's happening on the stock market every single day, because it's producing tax dollars. And I think that's one of the reasons why Biden is talking so much about, potentially doubling capital gains for those that make over $1 million.
Well, something terrifying with that, since you're talking about capital gains, everyone's trying to play a lot of the stocks that are out there. Everyone knows the story of GameStop and the hedge fund that lost $2.2 billion that took Congress and the government, 5 days to turn around and make sure that money was replaced with taxpayer dollars and said, we're not going to do it anymore going forward. Wow. When's the last time you heard the government do anything in 5 days for the American people? You don't, right? So you really stop and think about it. Everyone's really kind of after that idea of the squeeze, right? GME went nuts, up to $480, I think it was, or something like that. And the hedge funds lost millions. They couldn't control it. AMC is the new GME. GME could do it again. There's people who believe it'll do it again. AMC is kind of the one I feel like most people are chasing right now, as far as that would go. But here's a terrifying thought. If AMC could actually go absolutely nuts and there was no limit on how high it could go, if you do the math out on it, on the current outstanding shares of what it could squeeze to that people could own, because I think 80-something% of the company AMC is owned by actual everyday retail investors, not AMC, not hedge funds, not ETFs, nothing else. So if you took those and it was to go to something crazy like $10,000 a share, or even more crazy like $100,000 a share, it's literally enough capital gains at its current rate, not the Biden's new tax rate, to pay off the entire national debt.
Wow.
How terrifying is that?
That's crazy.
Now check that fact, because that's something that I'm repeating that I don't have credit for. Something I heard on a separate podcast regarding the same exact thing. And heck, it may have been on Trace Trades. I don't remember for sure, honestly. But if you think about the millions of shares that are out there, I could definitely see a 30% capital gains tax blowing through that like it's nothing.
Wow. Unbelievable.
If you really step back and think about it, though, who would pay that and how would it be paid? Would that be the end of the stock market? Would it crash completely and have a reboot? So, I mean, if you're talking about trillions of dollars, right? I mean, trillions of dollars.
But you're also, again, only talking 30% of that.
That's correct.
So, I mean,
correct.
I don't think it would crash the market, at least not in finality. It may, definitely impact it, kind of like how gasoline prices are impacted for a little while, but they go down even though they skyrocket up. So I could see where people would take their money and be, spooked, for lack of a better term, and stay away. But I mean, they would come back because they made tons of money.
Oh, absolutely. Greed's the number one thing for everyone. I mean, no one's doing this for anything else. I mean, you could love the company, you can like the stock, what everybody says. But the reality of it is that if you're not playing the stock market for money, then the only other reason you would be doing it is for passion. And when you start mixing passion with money, that's when things get personal. And I think personally, that's a dangerous place to be. You typically, I would say, end up being that person that they talk about as the bag holder. I mean, because it's on the way up. Oh, it's got a little dip. That's just a little dip. Oh, it's a little more. It's no big deal. Keep playing it. It's going to go back up. No, it doesn't. Boom. You're left holding the bag.
Yeah, and I think that's the scary thing, especially for a lot of these, tech stocks from the NASDAQ. Because that's where all the growth is at. So, and I think that's where you and I differ a lot in, what we are drawn to naturally, at least, and correct me if I'm wrong. But when we talk about it all the time, your portfolio is higher risk than mine, because you're trying to really get those big wins.
Oh, absolutely. I am. I'm about as deep as you probably would ever want to get in companies like AMC, HCMC, and why not? Let's just throw SafeMoon in there too. I mean, all things that are unproven and complete giant risk, but can have huge payoffs. Um, I mean, basically, my current stock portfolio would be a good example of what a drunk gambler would want to do. But on the flip side, it has its points of winning possibly. So,
A
I
drunk
mean, you can go
experienced
both ways.
gambler.
There you go. There you go. That's right. That's right. I mean, I know clear as day, if you're trying to go for a win, you plan long term. I've been there, done that. I've got my 401k that's grown consistently, safely, stuff like that that's out there. But at my current age and my risk rate, one day it just flipped the switch, and I was like, I think honestly it's back probably around 2011 or so, or maybe a little earlier than that, when I decided to leave the corporate or think about leaving corporate stuff, and we started into crypto. Crypto, I think, was the first giant gamble for me. We were both late to the game on that one, but I did make some money off of it. I mean, there's no doubt about that, and there could be a lot more money made. Um, but I think with crypto, you got to be a little careful, and I think something just to throw out there right now for everyone to hear. Anyone who stops and listens to the podcast, before you just go crazy and say, "Hey, I want to invest in some high risk, high return stocks." Remember, no matter what, if one of those happens to pay off, you've got to pay the tax man. And you're talking about those capital gains that we were looking at. And you, right now, I think it's 29% or something like that, or is it 20%? I forget. Either way, I would plan on putting 40% of it away because it's about to change.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, when you talk like short long term, and what I mean by that is like a year from now. Short term could be a month from now in some discussions, but when you say short long term, I mean 12 months from now. That's in the crypto world, a lot will change in 12 months. And unfortunately, I definitely think that from a tax perspective, a lot could change in 12 months when it comes to capital gains. So I got two questions, and so I don't want to get on a tangent because they're kind of two different topics, but both around crypto. One is, you before we started the live stream, you were talking about SafeMoon. You had done some research. Can you go further into that?
SafeMoon is the newest, in my opinion, one of the newest cryptos to the market. So it is a individual crypto that has been basically created on a unique platform. So it has a couple of really unique features that kind of go along with it. Um, so with that, just to kind of like cover it, a lot of cryptos, when you sell them or go into them, they're already high risk. However, whenever some stuff like SafeMoon, for example, has what they call three things. It's like, I can't remember the dang three things right off the top of my head. It's like reflection, um, which is basically they're wanting you to be able to invest in a company so that as being the hodler, the person who holds the coin, that not only benefits the coin by holding value because you're not selling it all the time, but it also builds you value. So they have what they call a 10% tax if you sell. So let's say you have 1,000,000 coins and you decide, hey, it's went up enough for me. I want to take my profit on this, take some tendies and just roll with it. Um, when you do that, you would lose 100,000 of those coins. 50,000 of them would go into what they call a burn, which means they're gone. And the other 50,000 of them will be split evenly among anyone else who owns the coin. So basically, you can earn free coins just by holding. And to give you kind of an idea on that, without saying where my position is in SafeMoon, because a lot of you would think I am crazy. Literally, I think I've gotten like 322,000 coins so far since I've bought in. Now, I bought in on day 13 of the creation of
Oh
SafeMoon.
wow.
Um, so I got it at a really significant cheap price. Let's say that. And it's still pretty low. I mean, it definitely definitely goes there. For anyone thinking about looking at SafeMoon, definitely dip into what we call the white paper. The white paper gives you a lot of the details and stuff like that that's in there. Um, I haven't had a chance to read through the entire white paper, just kind of like the overviews and things like that. So definitely make sure that you like take your time to go through there. But to pull it up real quick, like here's something that tells you just a real brief thing. When someone sells SafeMoon, they're penalized 10%. 5% of that gets distributed to the current SafeMoon holders, as I mentioned. The other 5% goes to the liquidity pool. I believe that's held on the DXL or Pancake Swap. So lots of different things that are kind of out there and on there. So um, definitely you can check out their website. Definitely if it's something you're interested in investing in, because there has been a lot of talk out there. Is this really a pyramid scheme? Is this some kind of a Ponzi scheme? Those are really kind of like dangerous terms to throw out there. And I would not tell anyone to be an echo box of that without doing your own research. Me personally, that's not my belief that it's that, because I have looked at it and I've invested into it. The CEO and their partner basically did a live broadcast today off of Twitch, and I would definitely recommend that you guys pull that up. It was very clean, concise, and professional. They answered all the questions that have been floating out there regarding the white paper, what this coin is all about, and where it's at. And I don't want to sit here and bore everyone with the information on that, but definitely check that broadcast out so that way you don't hear anything misquoted from me, or maybe I took it a different way than you should be able to hear it from the actual creators.
Oh, nice. And so, how long was that broadcast? Like half an hour, or?
Yeah, it was right under that.
Okay. So that's, I mean, pretty good quality time answering, questions from the community. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So the second question that I wanted to throw at you, because I haven't done the research to know the answer, is with VPNs, if you're using a VPN and you're using, say, Binance, with the usage of a VPN, since you're technically encrypted, does that present an opportunity for people to kind of get around reporting this stuff? And I'm not advocating that, but I'm just playing devil's advocate. I mean, is that like a loophole to get through without having to claim taxes on this stuff?
So by looking at it, to give you a quick story to go with that. So I myself was a member of Binance, the original Binance, back in the day when they didn't ask for social security numbers and things like that. Now there's a Binance USA. It's like that for a specific reason, because any site that you're allowed to access from the U.S., the tax man wants your information. He wants to know what gains you've had, because he's going to get his money at the end of the day. So every true exchange that you could be a part of will ask for your ID. They'll probably want a picture of your driver's license, front and back. They'll want your social, just so they can register you with taxes at the end of each year. So to get back to your question regarding the VPN, I had money personally that was trapped in Binance.com. Binance is a very difficult company to deal with, even though they're huge, to try to get a hold of, to get a straight answer on how to get out of it if you were in the US prior to it changing over to going to Binance US. You would think it would be as simple as sign into Binance US, create your account, and transfer, but it does not work that way. I can promise you that. So I had, I don't know, a few $1,000s that was stuck in Binance. So I did my due diligence with some Google searches and came up with a phenomenal program called Halo. That was the one that seemed to be the most reviewed. So literally, it was like $15 a month. They give you a free trial if you wanted to hit it up and just test it, but it gives you like an hour a day, then it locks it down, so you can't use it after that. But and literally the first time you set it up, you'll probably burn through that hour.
Wow.
So they're going to get your information specifically on Halo that's on there. However, something super important to mention, Robbie, as you talked about, if you have something stuck on there, that Halo program allows you to change your VPN. So that encrypted thing can be changed to or I shouldn't say thing, encrypted address can be changed to any country in the world. So just FYI from a little birdie, not advocating it, but if you needed to do something, say out of Binance, even though they're Chinese, don't choose China, choose Colombia. That will get your stuff moving without question. So once it believes you're in that location, you will be able to move things out of that account into your other Binance account, Coinbase, whatever coin you're moving through. A couple of things just to throw out there for anybody who's a brand new newbie to this. Make sure that you are using the correct wallets, guys. Stuff sent out to the wrong wallet is gone. And I mean, double, triple, quadruple check it. Me, who has relatively decent amount of experience sending coins between exchanges, just as Robbie has himself, I sent XRP. XRP got in some trouble a ways back. Some stuff got locked down. I tried to send it out of Bittrex. I put it in the XRP address, tried to send it over, and guess what? When I clicked on the address, it went back to Bitcoin. So $300 something gone, poof, just like that. We'll not see that money again. It is not recoverable. Extremely important for you guys to check that out. But not to go in a full circle like that. But yes, there are ways around to get around everything with a VPN, with companies. Just be aware that you won't be dodging the tax man on that, because Halo keeps track of anything and everything you do with the VPN, and it's also reported. So
interesting. So I wonder, there has to be like a graveyard of cryptocurrencies sent to the incorrect wallets. Like, what happens? I'm trying to wrap my head around it, because I mean, obviously it goes away, because you've sent it to something that is a different transcript, a different language. And as far as I know, as far as my understanding is like, that's not recoverable. It's gone. But where is it? It doesn't truly become non-existent. It's stuck somewhere. So, all these things that are out there, and this is why I have a problem with Bitcoin, because to have something created in the last 10, 12 years that we don't know who created it. Like, we really don't know who created it. I mean, somebody knows who created it. And I know there's a lot of speculation out there and a lot of theories, but I mean, there are people, I would assume, on this planet right now that know. And number one, I don't know how they keep that anonymous. I mean, you think about like Jeffrey Epstein and how long that kind of stuff was able to go under the radar, but people knew. So I just question, like, is the anonymity to who created this because they are the ultimate masters of the game, and maybe they have the ability behind the scenes to kind of see through their computer systems where all these incorrect tokens and coins go to incorrect wallets, and maybe they're able to retrieve them. And
I would love to be that guy. I can tell you that right now, because you think about the sheer number of stuff that's just sent to the wrong addresses, much less, let's talk about for a second and throw something back in your court. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about the wonderful version of exchanges that have requirements for the amount of said crypto you must have to be able to sell it or change it or move it?
Yeah, and obviously you're pouring salt in the wound right now. So I'm currently doing this back and forth with KuCoin for an account that, probably 5-6 years old at this point. And I just so happened to be in my email doing some searches for some previous emails, and that popped up, and I was like, oh, I forgot all about KuCoin. And then I started looking around and doing searches for that and realized, oh wow, I had sent some Bitcoin there. I'd sent some Ryblox, which is now Nano. It changed its name. I had to do some research to find that out. And I don't remember how many of those I bought. It may have only been a handful, or it could have been several hundred, maybe 1,000. I don't know, but they're like $6 a piece now. So just the amount of hoops you have to go through when you don't have the data that you need to be able to log in. And I get, photo ID, front, back, a selfie picture with something written down on a piece of paper to validate you are who you are. I get all that, but like they wanted me to be able to provide them the photos from other exchanges that I had sent Bitcoin or whatever crypto from that exchange to KuCoin. And the problem is, nailing that down because there's so many different exchanges, right? And I don't think that we dealt with that many, just a handful. So, I can go into my email and I can see, well, hey, on such and such date, I sent, X number of Bitcoin to, KuCoin, but it just tells me I received it. It doesn't tell me where it came from. And so then I got to add, try to do the math and figure out, well, let me go into all these other exchanges that I still have access to and kind of take a look in those wallets for transactions and try my best to get the math to make sure. And I'm still shooting in the dark. And
chasing the hidden
yeah,
dragon.
and then so, you go into one exchange and they calculate dates like a normal person would think, showing each specific date, what you sent, and then the wallets. And then you got Coinbase, and everything that's previous just tells you the number of days ago. So if it was 2,500 days ago, it doesn't give you that date. It just says it was 2,500 days ago. Good luck. Do the math. Go figure it out yourself.
Because that's so difficult for something to do to post the actual date of a transaction, right? So
Yeah, I don't get it.
So circling back to your thought process there, even to the point of some of the exchanges we've both been in that we've tried to withdraw from, there's still coins in there that you can't withdraw because you don't meet the minimum amount to withdraw. So there's more crypto that's just floating out there that's free and gone. And like you said, back to the idea of, this one person, let's say they didn't have to do anything. If they could access or trace back anything that's set to an inaccurate address, then you're talking about billions of dollars across the world. I would think in the minimum at that point. And also to think back to the creator, this is total speculation on my part, just because I think everything honestly leads to big government. So honestly, it would not shock me in any way, shape, or form to find out that cryptocurrency is a planned use of big government. Whatever that's for, I have no idea. Maybe they're fishing to see who would get involved as another way to create another revenue stream. Maybe they're looking for the people who are out there who are doing illegal activities, and they said, hey, we'll use cryptocurrency to do stuff and hide our money or do whatever. And guess what? They know who you are. Who knows? I really don't know, but there's definitely an endless possibility out there. But it is very baffling, as you stated, that there's a creator of something as simple as Bitcoin, the original, not any of these forks that you hear about, not Bitcoin Cash or any of that junk, just Bitcoin. And you're talking about someone out there who has tons of them in an account that no one can verify that person ever existed. So very, very interesting to say the least.
Yeah, when you talk about, the change, I call it the change that's left over from the transactions. You go to these, what's the restaurant? I think it's like Panda Express. Every time you check out,
Yeah.
They ask you, do you want to, donate the rest, round up to the nearest dollar and leave your change. That stuff's got to add up. That's a lot of money.
Oh, absolutely. And the real question too is some of the other stuff, not to circle back to the same thing we've already spoke about, but to all these exchanges we can't access anymore, to the Dragon chains, to the KuCoin, to whatever it may be. How long does that stuff sit there? Does it sit there indefinitely with your name on it just until you access it? Or does it have an expiration period that the exchange just slightly says no one's been in this in 10 years, so let's absorb that back into the mix? I don't know. Either way, there definitely a lot of options out there for things to be pulled back in a very shady way. Um, and that's unfortunate because, I mean, if you really want to establish a currency, you want it to be trusted, you want it to be backed by something, right? And technically, the currencies of the world are not really backed by much anymore. If you really want to get technical about it, we're not on a gold standard. So, for the U.S., so we're backed by the belief that the U.S. government will figure out how to pay you back, and people believe in it, and that's why it's worth something. So you could say the same for those who believe in specific cryptos that are out there. But at the end of the day, I personally, if I were to come out and say the absolute truth of my honest opinion, I would not change or state that anything's any different to me personally for a French franc, for a euro, for a US dollar is any different to me than any kind of basic cryptocurrency, other than the fact that cryptocurrency is relatively new and there's not enough people who would say that that's an equivalent to a dollar. A dollar of Bitcoin, most people would not say is the equivalent to a US dollar because the US dollar has been around forever and it's backed by a government. Versus Bitcoin is worth a lot of money, right? A lot of money, but no one can say who's backing it, and no one can say that tomorrow it couldn't go to zero. The odds of the US dollar going to zero is very slim, right? I mean, if the US dollar's on that, we're probably at war.
Right.
So, uh, but that's a definitely interesting thing to think about. So everyone just needs to be really, conscientious about what you do with your money. I mean, obviously, if common sense should always dictate, don't ever put some more money into something that's unproven, i.e., crypto, um, or even the stock market on something that's dangerous that could go to zero. Then you can actually afford to lose. Always pay for your rent, pay for your food, your drugs, your medicine. I mean, you know what I mean. In general,
Legal,
whatever you got to do.
legal drugs.
That's right. Legal drugs. There you go. That's right. Hey, ain't no one talking about anything else on here now. Come on. That's right. That's right. See, I'm right here. I'm drinking this water. It's called Diet Vodka.
Right. I did have some rum today. We went to the beach, so.
Oh, look at
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Yeah. The only thing I did today was run around, and I don't mean in a way to lose weight. It was all over the place, man. All over the place.
So you put that grill together by yourself?
I did. Pit Boss XL 1000.
Wow.
Can't beat
How,
that.
how long did it take you to put that thing together? It was huge.
About an hour.
Okay.
It wasn't that much. Believe it or not, the majority of it, the big dome and everything like that, all came assembled. I just had to put the sensors and stuff in, the whole base, put the whole stand together on the base, and then attach it, bolt it all together, and then add the pellets and put the handles and stuff on. It was golden. Wasn't bad at all.
Now, the stuff that you cooked tonight, was that on the grill or was that in the kitchen?
Oh, that was in the kitchen. That was Instapot stuff,
Okay.
man. That was the Instapot chicken. You had me thinking about that chicken after that stuff you said the conversation yesterday.
Yeah.
So I was like, I gotta have me some
Well,
tacos.
yeah, Leia bought the Instapot. I'd never had it, and then she made something like the first night she had it. She said, "Oh yeah, I cooked it in like, I don't know, 40 minutes or something." It was some kind of a roast.
Yep.
I think it was pork. So I was gonna do the chuck roast in the crock pot to make the barbacoa tacos, but she wanted to do it in there. It still took about probably about 45, 50 minutes, because she was thinking it might only take like 30, but it did take a little bit longer. But in comparison to crock pot, I'd leave it in there for like 4 or 5 hours. So
Right. Oh yeah. I mean, we did I did fresh chicken breasts this time, so it was a pound and a half of fresh chicken breasts, and then you had all the seasonings and stuff like that. And instead of water, I added black bean corn salsa as the liquid in it. So and it took 30 minutes from start to finish, and it was done. Took it out, threw it in the food processor. Since I don't have one of those little hand blenders, you can kind of stick in there to shred the chicken.
Right.
I just threw it in the food processor and just did a couple pulses and put it back in there. It was done, shredded nicely. Turned out really good, man.
Nice.
Definitely really good. Not as spicy as I would have liked, but I can't have the family not eating it because they're crying in the
Right.
corner. So.
Right. So, what's on the agenda this week for stocks?
So tomorrow it's just chasing AMC continually, watching that all day throughout the day. Gonna see if there's any new up-to-date information. I want to put out a video on HCMC. Probably won't happen tomorrow though. I had a lot going on. Got a full platter tomorrow. We'll put out a full video at some point on SafeMoon. I'm gonna try to do that this week. Kind of see where things go from there. And I mean, other than that, I'll just be seeing what's going to run. I definitely want to see what's going to happen with Microvision. It had a huge run up, and from looking at the charts, it's pretty overextended. So I think it ended around $17 and something. That's on there. I have got to make a decision on whether I want to potentially dump that tomorrow and wait for it to drop to buy back in. Microvision is definitely an awesome company. They have a lot of good stuff going on, and it's going to be one of my long-term plays. So I just continue to add stock to it as I make some profits off of other stuff. I just continue to buy into it.
Okay, so you said you were talking about AMC, HCMC, Microvision, and
Yep.
who else did you mention?
Yep. Let's see. The other one I'll mention on there, since you can actually track it on the market, is Viacom. I got to see what Viacom's going to do. Viac, yep. Viacom has taken a beating. It had a short climb yesterday, and I'm watching that one consistently, specifically because I have some call options on it right now that I'm getting my tail handed to me on.
Have you ever used this site before, Bar Chart?
I have not. But it looks like you tracking things individually. Huh?
Yeah, so what I like about it is you can compare. So yesterday, or I don't know if it's yesterday or 2 days ago, I think it was within the last day or two, I made a video and I was talking about cruise stocks. So Carnival and Norwegian or Royal Caribbean. And so I use this website because you can put them side by side. So I know, like, obviously AMC and Healthier Choice, Microvision, they all are completely different. They're not the same, but
well, absolutely not. The only two stocks you see on your screen right there that are not high risk is Microvision and Viacom at this point. So
yeah, and I mean, even those have a level of risk, higher than a true dividend stock, which is what I typically like. But it's interesting to kind of see, just from a vantage point of what they opened at, what their highs were. Now, this doesn't go, in depth. This is just high level. So it doesn't really tell you, like, what their all-time high is. And
oh, absolutely not. But if you take a look at just those four stocks, right? So you have two. Well, Microvision's newer, but they ran 36% up. You mean that's not normal for a day in stock, right? So, but just taking a look at that, between those three, Viacom had the least amount of profit for me, obviously. Microvision produced about $85 in profit for me. Healthier Choices Management, I gained $250 off of it, and I gained $280 off of AMC, same day.
wow.
So big gambles, big rewards. However, it's very, very important to say that Healthier Choices Management bounces back up that 0.0001 back and forth consistently. And with those is $125 plus gain every time it does that. AMC, heavily shorted stock, something that I personally believe in that will go for a squeeze. At least that's my hope and plan and thought process. It's at 100% utilization, has crazy high short interest at like 26% interest to loan off against it. So it's something that is ready to go off to the races. Whether it does or not, time will tell.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that it shows a negative volume for HCMC.
Yes. Yeah. So I would think that that's people selling out. That's on there. You have a ton of things happening under HCMC. Uh, Not only are people gambling into it right now and buying in and out, you have a lot of big movement in stocks. It's super cheap. I mean, it's less than a penny, significantly less than a penny. So the stock currently has an open lawsuit against Philip Morris that they potentially could win. If they do, the stock will probably have a very, very good day or a good week or who knows how long after that. But if you're ever interested in getting into a stock that's not only high risk and also is potentially going to have a stock offering, you better get into it sooner than later with HCMC. They've actually filed for a 4-to-1 discount purchase. So that means for every 4 shares you own, they will give you a 25% discount off of its current price to buy 1 share. So um, that's pretty significant because you can have basically instant money that's on there. So there's definitely nothing wrong with that. I mean, that will definitely produce me some funds, and if it passes and goes through um, the powers to be, then I will definitely be taking advantage of that. So
Yeah, I mean, it's listed as a buy 64% on the previous, day, from Friday. I guess the analysts that are connected to bar chart, and I don't know, their credibility, but I'm gonna assume it's at least average,
right,
and it's up from
something
last
that's
month. I mean,
interesting.
last month 48%. So
Oh yeah. Well, I wish I would have got into it. Well, actually, I was in it last month, so I didn't have that bad of a buy-in. But we were talking about an 88% buy on AMC. It's really a danger zone. I mean, it's 100% utilization, so every share is out there. It's in use. There's 130 something million short shares outstanding. I think it was as of Friday, and uh, definitely check the numbers on that, guys. I'm not saying those are specific, but I believe that's what I was reading on there. And I mean, you can see the pressure's building on that. That's why I think it's going to actually short squeeze. There's just too many shares outstanding versus the actual real numbers of the people who are holding it with thoughts that it's going to squeeze. May do nothing, may explode. Like I said, not financial advice, definitely not a financial planner. Check it out yourself. Viacom, I mean, I don't know what to say about Viacom, man. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. It has CBS in it. It's the channel that holds all the sports contracts. So I mean, they have everything from Major League Baseball, basketball, the NFL. They own all of those contracts. Their stock was originally over $100 and moving fine, and then you had a hedge fund that was very heavily invested in them that got caught doing some stuff they shouldn't have done, and they got what they call margin called. So Goldman Sachs was their holder of their margin, which means that they're betting money they don't have with the hopes of returning profits from those bets. When they couldn't produce, Goldman Sachs said, "We're not going to miss out on our money." And they did what they call a margin call. And when they couldn't pay, they liquidated all of the stocks in their portfolio to pay their margin. Majority of their portfolio was Viacom, and that's why Viacom had a huge, devastating drop. And I just can't see Viacom staying down. I mean, right now, it just keeps dropping. I don't know where the bottom is, unless they're trying to literally, and I say there, I mean as in people trying to short the stock. Unless they're trying to put them out of business, I don't understand where it's going.
well,
So I mean,
I mean, this past week in the market, it was just really bad overall. And I mean, if you look, that low was on 420. What was 420? Was that
yep.
Thursday?
Oh yeah,
Let's see. No, I'm sorry. 420 was last Tuesday. So 37.33, but the all-time high, or at least, excuse me, not all-time high, but the last 6 month high was, almost $102. So
right. At some point, that's that's got to be a win for someone who is way smarter than me and wishing to play a long-term option. I don't see how Viacom can honestly stay down. I really don't. Um, I mean, technically, it'd be a great stock to own, but once again, when the whole new topic and probably should be a whole new conversation video for just time constraints in general would be what stocks you want to buy in to make money off of from those stocks going up or paying dividends, as you mentioned, versus the stocks that you can do that in the short term. I'm a in the short term, I'm a big believer in very low cost stocks, and you can see that from HCMC. I mean, stuff like that, I feel like it's a diamond in the rough. It could be an absolute joke and explode in your face, and I could lose everything I put into it, or it could pay off thousands and thousands of dollars. Stocks like Viacom, on the flip side, even at $37, I mean, unless you're sitting on a healthy account for investing, you know, $40,000, $50,000 that you feel comfortable with playing in the market, you're not going to buy into a stock like that to try to make short-term gains. It's just not going to happen. So your only option would literally to be play options, and that is a very, very risky choice. But it's out there, right? I mean, the derivatives are there. Um, Technically, I think we were talking about it. I understand the concept of the idea to give the little guy a chance to pay a premium so you can get in on some hefty profits potentially for 100 shares because every option you buy is worth 100 shares of stock. But me personally, I will tell you straight up, while I've played in the market a little bit, I personally don't think they should exist. I don't think derivatives, options, whatever you want to call it, should be something that's there.
I, I don't think it should be connected with the market. You know, and I know you and I have had this conversation. If they want to base themselves out of Vegas and have the stock market casino, then I'll have at it. You know, I mean, it's just like with the NFL or any major league sport. You know, you can gamble on it, but it's not part of the league. You know, it that's the integrity of the shield is the fact that, you know, I mean, think about baseball, think about Pete Rose, and, you know, instantly when you hear his name, the first thing that most people think of is cheating on baseball. And that's why he got banned, you know, for decades. And, you know, I think that his punishment was pretty harsh, but that's how serious they took it. And then you've got these options, which have nothing to do with the operation of a company. Has nothing to do with their EBITDA. It has nothing to do with their earnings per share. Has nothing to do with their bottom line, their top line sales. Has nothing to do with, you know, how they're viewed by their customer base in the market. Has nothing to do with that. It just is a gamble.
Right.
You know, I mean, you should have the ability to go down to your local gas station, buy a scratch off or a call or a put.
Right. You know, it's funny you should mention that. There's a video out there, and I was trying to take a look here real quick to try to find it, but someone's done a very brilliant video out here on the market itself. How we talked about how things are not exactly as they appear, and what I mean by that is. And it made me think of it again just because of how you're talking about, say, the NFL. It would be very highly and probably criminally looked at if Tom Brady was playing quarterback for the Buccaneers and started putting down massive bets on losses against another team, and then he just absolutely dropped the ball, sucked, and made millions, right? That would be really frowned upon. It'd be illegal, right? So hence, like you said, Pete Rose in baseball. The thing that's scary about that is that you back it up and put it in a stock market comparison. As I mentioned way earlier in our conversation in the video, that's the exact thing that's happening with the hedge funds or the clearinghouses like Citadel. They have skin in the game. They're making their own personal bets. They have premium views of what everyone's buying and doing, and they know the effects before they send it through their computer system of what it's going to do to that stock. and in turn, they're making money off of what I would call insider trading. Um, Basically, knowing what's going to happen based upon the information that you and I or no one in the basic normal retail world has a view of. It's not possible, and that really puts the market in a very unfair playing ground type area. And I mean, what's your thoughts kind of on that type of a setup? I mean,
Oh man, I'm not a fan of any of it. Um, I just, to me, it just muddies the water, and I'm just wholeheartedly against it. While you were talking, I got a little sidetracked. I was looking at this column and I was thinking about what you said earlier about the, and not to change the subject, but the AMC. You said there were no outstanding shares, but according to bar chart, there's 450,000 outstanding shares.
right. So every day that it's 100% utilization. So the stock's being 100% utilized. So it's at its cap. So if they're getting shares outstanding, that's an interesting topic. So those are not shares that are just basically on the market. The majority of people are holding. No one's going to take a stock that they've made $2 on and put thousands of shares back into the market on something that could potentially go to $1,000,
Right.
right? So where those numbers come from is your exchange. So let's say you're in Robinhood, for example. Not a huge fan, um, or any exchange. Let's just be realistic. Webull, Robinhood, uh, Charles Schwab, Fidelity, E-Trade, it does not matter. There's an option under your screens if you go in there that has a place for what is called um, share trading. Uh, or sorry, trade sharing. There we go. I'll get it right eventually. So if you have that on, the idea is that you can earn a micro spot of interest if they need to borrow shares from you to trade. So if that's off, they're not allowed to borrow those shares. So those outstanding shares, a small part of them is where someone has 1,000 shares in Robinhood and they're on trading allowed or sharing of the stock allowed. They're taking those out of your account, even though you still currently own them, and they're using them to short attack the stock against you. As crazy as that sounds,
Wow.
they're taking your own stock that you've put money in to thinking that you're driving the market up, and they're using those shares to short ladder attack it to go against you. Um, Other parts of those outstanding shares are located in random ETFs. So there's some ETFs out there that have AMC as a part of it, um, whatever those may be. And a lot of those shares are the same exact thing that's out there. So those are legitimate shares that we believe are out there in the market in general. And you got to remember, I think there was, I forget what the total number of, um, I guess this is it right here, outstanding shares, 309 million, something like that. I thought it was a little higher than that. But literally, it's really scary to think that the system is so stacked against you that you can buy into a stock, and if you pull up the actual sell volume of that specific stock, I know it's something called level two, which is like another whole conversation, but like Webull offers you that. If you pull up level two, you might see that there was a 75% buy that day and only a 25% sell. So that 25% sell are these 450,000 shares that are being recycled over and over again. Buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell to drive prices down. It's done so many times that 25% buy market can actually defeat a 25% sell market can actually defeat a 75% buy market, and the stock goes down that day. That's how messed up the stock market actually is. That's a horrible, horrible example and a horrible, like honestly, a base of knowledge to kind of spew out where these shares outstanding are kind of located at. But there's definitely pools out there, and everyone needs to know if you're in an exchange, go under and make your exchange cash only. Go under and make your exchange Um, uh, Not shareable. And literally, Robbie, I actually have a screenshot of something that I wanted to post on my channel that I can send you probably here real quick as an example. Let me get that up. Sorry about that. Of this exactly. I actually took a screenshot of one of the exchanges I was in, and it actually gave me information that showed my stock was being borrowed in AMC, and I was being paid a very small micro amount of interest, like less than a penny that was on there. But they were taking my stock and basically they were using it against me, is what that came down to.
So in this example you spoke of, so are all exchanges doing this, or some of them? Is it somebody behind the exchanges that are actually selling the shares to the exchanges to sell to you? Like, where is this originating from?
So my understanding of it in real basic terms is that your exchange gets paid a higher interest rate, which they give you a minority penny chip of for lending your shares. So they lend your shares out to major companies, whether it be Citadel or whoever's trying to get that exact stock. And by doing so, it basically allows them to use those shares in the market against you. Now, I mean, technically they could also use it for you, but it's just not that way. Not in the least bit. Um, if that kind of answers real vaguely what it's about
Yeah, I
there.
got you. So I mean, Charles Schwab or Webull, they're not truly the bad guys. It's just that they have these buckets of shares that they buy to be able to do the transactions, and those folks pulling the levers are truly the bad guys.
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I mean, it's really kind of a messed up thing. So, I mean, you can't, you want to kind of say, oh, well, it is the exchange's fault. But you got to look at it from their perspective too, right? I mean, you also have to step back and say, hey, you know what? These guys are in the business to make money, right? So if this could be another revenue stream, why would they not do it? Especially if you're the one who, as the shareholder, have the option to turn it off. If you fail to do it or don't know about it, then it's another revenue stream for
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, I think in the same terms of, every time I make a purchase, you know, I have still have not figured out a way to just make it automatic. So every time I buy a stock that has a dividend, that it automatically reinvest the dividend. Every single time I go to submit a trade, whether it's a market or a limit on Schwab, I have to I have to remember to manually check reinvest dividends. Now it sends me to a prompt screen to say reconfirm everything you're getting ready to submit, and I catch it a lot of times there. When I do miss it, it's only, I mean,
Right.
maybe half the time or less I forget to check it, and then
Yep.
probably 90% of the time I catch it on that screen. But there have been times I've submitted the order and I'm like, oh, I forgot to hit reinvest dividend.
At least Charles Schwab has that very plainly out in the open where you can click on it that says reinvest, yes or no. Well, you're talking about Webull, Robinhood, a lot of these other guys that are like the quick money in and out, they don't have that option that's listed under there. You got to dig for it. So that's a really good point. If you're not wanting that money just to kind of sit on the sidelines, you obviously want your dividend to earn just as much money as your return, right?
Right.
Um, Check your phone real quick. That's the quickest way I could send it. I probably should have sent it to your email, but see if I'd have sent you that pic. You can pull it up and you'll see how they started doing that. And that was an account I had just opened like not very long before.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So I see it shows basically a penny of interest.
yep. Yes. And it's literally receivable, the 0.00822, right? Interest receipts.
Okay.
And you see the loan quantity at the time, this is through Robinhood. I had only 76 shares on that one exchange, right? They took all 76 shares of them for that day. And we're probably using it to ladder attack me and lower the value of my stock. How awesome is that?
Wow. Oh,
And I mean that they lowered everyone's stock. But I mean, is it cool to get money on a lend program? Sure, I'm all about it. But
Not at
if
the
you're
detriment of the
involved in a
value of your stock.
oh, exactly, exactly. So, I mean, if you really think about it, what would be the purpose of anyone wanting a stock from you that's on loan? You technically still own it, and they have to replace it no matter what at the end of the day. They don't get to do, like, if it goes crazy or something like that, and you sell it, they're still reliable to replace it. But can you think of any positive reason in the back of your mind about why you would ever want a loaned stock to do something good?
I want to get that penny.
And on top of
You want
that,
to get the penny.
right. But I mean, from the person who's taken it, what would they be doing with it? And tell me where you or I, as a retail investor, can go get stock that's loaned. You can't. It's not an option for us.
Yeah.
So what are they doing with it, and why is it even an option to do so? I mean, it's just to me, it just feels like another one of those things that's just out there on the market for the elite to be able to use to try to cover their tracks to ensure they don't walk into that scary, scary word. The two words I always don't ever really talk about, but should talk about like a whole video on: synthetic or naked shares, shares that don't exist. So,
Well, I definitely think that that is a good topic for another video. And I think it's a good segue too, because we've been going at it for just over an hour now.
oh yeah.
And I'm sure that, you're probably starting to get the evil eye.
I'm in a closed room with doors. I can feel I can feel it coming through the
Man,
doors.
wives have that vision. It's like superhero vision, man. They can see through walls. They can do all that. So they can put the peer pressure on you through the wall too.
Exactly. I got the thing that said, I said, hey, I want to go get on a call real quick. Going to do a little quick live stream with Robbie, and I got oh, really? I was like, oh snap. Okay. So you are correct, sir.
All right. Well, I appreciate it, man.
Sure.
First one together live, I think pretty good. I need to go back and dig into my DSLR camera and figure out the live video settings so that I can get it to stop turning off every 20 minutes. I've been playing around with it for the last couple of days, trying to get this setting like dialed in, and I think I turned that on somehow because it wasn't doing that before when I did some streams. But man, I tell you, I found out that whatever you're streaming at, it's not the final outcome, because when you load into YouTube, they render it down. If you're a big gigantic channel, they're going to give you space. But if you're just a little guy, then they compress your videos. And I've gone back and watched some of mine that I've filmed the last couple of days, and I'm like, it looks a lot better when I filmed it. Like, why does it look so grainy?
Well, I can tell you right now, man, you look crystal clear. You might as well be on like freaking live TV. Like literally, it looks that good.
And it does on my screen too. But once we end this stream and it, re-uploads, I'm willing to bet that the quality is going to go downhill dramatically, and it's going to look more like maybe 720.
Right.
But I got to play around with some settings. I noticed that after we had gone live, I still had my thumbnail up from my last cruise video, so it has nothing to do with the topic that I listed for the live stream. Right. But, you live and you learn. That's why I have very, very few subscriber count to date, and not millions and millions, but it's the only way you get better, right?
Hey, one step at a time. Hey, I haven't even launched my my mad talk yet, man. So it's all good.
Right.
All good. So.
Well, hey, I appreciate you taking the time to join in. I think it went great, man. Thanks.
Absolutely.
You want to give a shout out to, kind of what you're doing before we get off?
As in, for the stock market?
Yeah.
So basically, guys, I'm going to have a live channel starting up here really shortly, the stock market. The whole idea is just to kind of give you basic information out there on new ventures such as SafeMoon, cryptocurrencies, and talk about some of the current stocks that are out there and some of the analytics on what you're looking for, and for wins, losses, Maybe some potentials in there on how to read charts. Extremely important stuff if you're trying to do some of that day trading stuff and things like that. So, be really exciting. Get you guys thoughts and processes, and maybe even take some live chats in there and do some live actual analytics on things that you want to find out about that maybe you're invested in.
Very cool. I'm excited to see you kick it off, man. You got a lot of knowledge
Oh
to
yeah,
give out,
I'm
so.
excited. Yes, same for you, sir. I'm excited.
All right, man. Until the next time,